Welcome to the fourth phase of the story of my life, career. Remember before now I had told you that after my youth service in Edo State, I didn't want to be in Benin, so I came back to Port Harcourt where I started from. So, I did one or two jobs, I tried to find my footing, but getting a job at the time. I read metallurgical and materials engineering, remember, but what was available at the time was a banking job. And it was my husband that tried to get this job for me. At the time I was married. But for me, being a banker, for some reason, was one of the worst things anybody could do to himself or herself. Apologies to all the bankers. I even have an in-law that is a top banker. I'm sorry, Chi, I love you. Mwah. But at that time, I couldn't imagine myself being a banker because all I knew about banking was marketing. And guess what? I didn't like to talk. And I knew that marketing would involve me going to meet people, trying to sell the bank to them, the product, and I just wasn't ready for that. Of course, that was ignorance because I should have known that everything we do in life is about marketing. You market yourself first before you can market anything else that is associated with you. Oh well, I went for that interview, and while the other people that came for the interview were busy praying that they will be shortlisted, Uche was busy praying that her name will not be shortlisted. Can you imagine? So we wrote the exams, and then when it was time for getting the results, we had to just wait. It was an immediate thing. The list was pasted, my name was there. I said, oh God, what is this? So I was picked. Well, it was just, an immediate thing. So it was time for the oral interview. And as I sat in front of the panel, they asked me, what can you do for the bank? All the while as they were asking me questions, honestly speaking, in my head, I was looking for the answers to give them to ensure that they don't call me for the final stage of the interview. And after that particular phase, I was so happy when the final list came out and my name was not there. I breathed a sigh of relief, and it was in a worry. I was so happy to come back to Port Harcourt. I wasn't going to be a banker after all. I wasn't going to have to do marketing. I wasn't going to have to meet people and make cold calls just to sell some products and some services. Little did I know that God was setting me up for something even bigger. Oh well, eventually I got a job with an oil servicing firm by name DSV, where I worked for about 6 years as a sales engineer. But the good thing about that was all I needed to do was prepare the documents for the bidding. I didn't have to go there to defend anything, but I did the paperwork in the office. I did this for about 6 years. 6 years before I finally decided to follow my passion of events planning and management. And while I was there, I also used to help out. How did I even start events management and planning? I just used to help out, any activity, any program that was coming up, I was always there. I made myself available. I just thoroughly enjoyed being behind the scenes, so that's what I kept on doing. And then bridals too, because there were a lot of weddings, there are always weddings. So I kind of got involved with planning weddings, organizing bridal showers and all that. I decided, this my wedding gown would actually do well for me to start out a bridal business. So for those of us that know about Lorette Bridals, that's exactly how we started. By me bringing my own wedding gown and putting it up for rent. I didn't have to open a shop. All I needed to do was to just let people know, hey, I have some gowns. Of course, I collected some gowns from friends, who had used their gowns, and the gowns had fulfilled their ministry. All right. So I just said, hey, this gown has fulfilled its ministry in your life. You might as well just give it to me. So I got some gowns and I started my bridal business. When I saw that the inquiries were coming, more than normal, let me say more than I maybe thought, I nicely quit my daytime job and I faced the bridal. So I opened a bridal shop officially, but I also added some other clothing to it, so it wasn't just bridal. I was there in Rumola, there was a shop. It's interesting to note that the office space I took over is actually the space where my husband started his practice in Port Harcourt. So as he moved out of that space, I moved in, and that means I just started my own business in that same space. 193 Aba Road, that's Rumola Junction, so that's where I started. I was there for some years and then later on moved on to Stadium Road, 83 Stadium Road, where, the bridal shop was much bigger, the space was much bigger, and we did better. So I was there, did my business for a while, and then moved over to Oasis Event Center I'm really thankful to God because, like I said before, there haven't really been breaks in my life. It's just been from one phase to the other. There hasn't been any stagnation. And I'm really, 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 really thankful to God for that. I moved over to manage Oasis Event Center, and I ran the bridal business for a while because I also had a shop space there. But after a while, when I decided to focus on my music, I closed the bridal store. But before all this, let me tell you something that happened at the peak of my events planning career. Remember, that's how I started. I was nominated as one of the 10 people to go to Dubai for a 10 days retreat. It was so beautiful because, that was another exposure. By the time I went for that retreat and came back, my events planning and management career kind of took, a totally different view, a totally different level. I operated in a bigger scale. I understood the career better. See, let me say something. Anything worth doing is worth training for. So I'm really thankful to God that from that retreat, I enrolled for a proper training in events management, and it helped me to actually do much better as an events planner and an events manager. But somewhere along the line, this tug in my heart, I knew that music was a major part of me. So in spite of starting Excuse Me Laugh, which was an annual Easter comedy show at the time, it was still events planning, and management. So I started it. And sometimes I get asked, why did you even start a comedy show? Let me tell you why. Because I'm married to a man who fills my life and our home with enough laughter. And I just felt, why not share this laughter with more people? So that's how I did Excuse Me Laugh Easter comedy show for 10 years before wrapping up and moving straight into my music ministry. This was in 2014 when I hosted my very first concert. It was actually tagged Miracle Worship Concert with Lorette. At the time, the brand was Lorette. And that's also when I released my very first album. Yes, More Than Enough. Since then, I've released 3 albums, 2 EPs, and a number of singles. Today, we're going to be unveiling the 3rd EP, and I'm super excited about this. Now, I'm also a very passionate worship leader, and I've hosted several worship programs aside Miracle Worship Concert. So I have programs like Worship Break Thursday, I have Worship in the House with Lorette, I have Worship Song Challenge, which I hosted at the time. And then in the year 2020, that is the COVID year, some people call it the year of COVID, I wrote a book, 30 Nuggets on True Worship. It was such a beautiful experience writing that book because it just captured for me everything that ought to happen in the place of worship. I'm really thankful that that book is available for us even today. Now, since then till date, I have hosted I Declare concerts. This is actually the 5th year of I Declare concert, and it's still an annual Easter event. So you can imagine that for the past about 18 years, I have hosted an event every Easter Monday. It's beautiful and it's such a privilege. The latest I Declare concert held on the 1st of April 2024. It was such a beautiful, beautiful time. It was tagged Extravagant Praise, and it was a time to truly express my gratitude. I told people that this concert was going to be one I'm going to use to kickstart my celebrations as I turned 50. I'm thankful to God because the atmosphere of this year's concert was something else. It was an atmosphere of praise, thanksgiving, gratitude, and I know that so many testimonies were birthed. Currently, what I do is to organize trainings for individuals and groups, mainly singers. But I'm not limited to singers in any way. Being a John Maxwell certified coach, I can actually organize and be part of corporate trainings. But the thing is, I'm very passionate about singers. I want to see well-groomed individuals who don't just excel in their singing, but they are well-groomed, grounded, and they are change agents wherever they find themselves. So in the past few years, I've been able to put together modules that address some of these challenges as far as singers are concerned. We have modules like Sing Like a Pro Masterclass, which we've held for the past 2 years, Choir Basics 101 for choir trainings, Worship Leaders Toolkit for worship leaders, and then the Ultimate Choir Leader for choir leaders. These are modules that anybody who is passionate about growth and development as a singer should take advantage of. So this has been the journey of my life. I hope you've enjoyed it. Just watch out for 50 Shades of Gratitude coming up. God bless you. Lord, I sing a new song. It's a